What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm CJ, this is Out of Bounds, and today we've got an early video for you guys, and that's because it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we got a full slate of games, man. They tip off at 12:10 p.m. here on the East Coast and go throughout the day, so plenty of NBA action for everyone. If this is your first time on the channel, definitely hit subscribe, turn on notifications, like the video, drop comments, share with everybody in the entire world. We do daily fantasy sports videos. We do all of the hottest off-the-field sports news stories. So a little bit of everything from the world of sports. But without further ado, let's try and get through this video ASAP so I can get it uploaded and you guys can get some picks in over on PrizePicks. First thing we got to hit is some news. We got some important ones to talk about. Karl-Anthony Towns, his status is out. He is not playing today. Jimmy Butler also out. CJ McCollum out. Ooh, say it ain't so, CJ McCollum. We loved clicking the over at 36 on McCollum, as we've talked about extensively on this video in the past, but he's got a foot injury. He'll be out indefinitely. Nurkic also out for Portland, so Portland dealing with some big-time injury issues. Kyrie Irving, he's questionable due to COVID protocol. John Wall is out from Monday with a knee injury. Victor Oladipo, they're still working through the trade or whatever. I guess he's probable to play. He might make his debut for the Rockets, finally. Jonas Valanciunas, he's out due to COVID protocol. LeBron James, questionable, as he has been many games this season with this left ankle sprain that seems to keep bothering him. Mitchell Robinson's questionable with a knee injury. And finally, Kristaps Porzingis is questionable as they look to rest him on a back-to-back. There you have it for the news. Let's get into the picks. Nikola Vucevic, he's projected at 44 points. Orlando Magic big man has been playing pretty well. We've talked about it many times here. Let's see what Vucevic's projection is today. They like him at 47.91 against the Knicks, so that's a healthy over for Vuce. Open up his game logs real quick and take a look. His last one, 67.5 points against Brooklyn. A bit of a down game here against Boston, 33.2, but then you go back, 47.1, 57, and a 43.9. This is apparently his first time facing off against the Knicks. I thought maybe they had played once before, but first time against the Knicks. He's projected to play 34 minutes in this one. He is a versatile big man. Versatile bigs versus the Knicks. The Knicks rank 14th against versatile bigs. This is 3 games and 4 nights for Vuce, and he puts up 1.45 fantasy points per minute. But before we leave him, let's take a look at the game totals and spread. It looks like the Orlando Magic are slight 1.5 point favorites. The game is projected to stay close. I don't expect this one to blow out, so if you're going to be playing guys from this early game, well, it's looking good. I expect Vuce to get as many minutes as he can possibly handle, and therefore I do kind of like the over on Vucevic in the 44 today. Let's talk about another guy who's been on fire, the other side of this game here. Julius Randle, New York Knicks power forward. Again, they're facing the Orlando Magic today, so let's take a look at Randle and his projections on the day. They've got him at 42.7, so a bit of a down projection for Randle, but let's look at his game logs. Maybe there's a reason why they've done this. 46.4 in his last one against Boston. He's got 43.2 against Cleveland, 49.9 against Brooklyn. So his last 3 games have been 43 points or better, so pretty solid there for Randle. In his previous one, 23.5 and a couple more 40 bangers, and then there's a couple of 50 burgers there. So for the most part, he's been playing pretty good. He had one down game against the Charlotte Hornets back on January 11th, so about a week ago, but otherwise 40 plus, 43 plus point type of games here recently for Mr. Randle. So let's look across the board here. He's projected to play 37 minutes against the Magic. As we talked about, he should get all 37, maybe even more minutes. We've seen Randle trend upward to around the 40-minute range. So as long as the game stays close, I expect all of these big names for both teams to play big minutes. Versatile bigs against Orlando. Orlando ranks only 24th against versatile bigs. So not a difficult matchup by any means for Julius Randle. This is a back-to-back and 3 games of 4 nights for Randle. And then he was putting up 1.2 fantasy points per minute. Very healthy total there. Let's move along and talk about, let's talk Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony, he returns to New York. If you didn't know, Cole Anthony is a New York native. He's the point guard for the Orlando Magic with Markelle Fultz being out for the season. Tonight's projection, 24 points for Mr. Cole Anthony. Let's take a look and see where they like him across Roto Grinders here. Well, they've got him all the way down here at 23.7. Anthony has been playing better, I will say. It seems like he stepped his game up. Still kind of inconsistent. Don't know that we could really totally trust him, but as you can see in his last one against Brooklyn, played 29 minutes, and he attempted 15 shots and ended up with 42.6 fantasy points. So very healthy total for Cole Anthony. Previous games, though, kind of struggled. 21, 18, 12, 23, 17. So I can't say that 42.6 is going to be the new norm for Cole Anthony, but I do like the fact that this will be his first game in front of the New York Knicks crowd, and him being a New York native, his father played for the Knicks. There could be some extra motivation to get some more shots up, but let's see here. He's projected to play 29 minutes. He is a combo guard. Combo guards against the Knicks have done well. They rank just 28th, so one of the worst teams in the league against combo guards. So take that for what you will. This is a 3 games and 4 nights, as we mentioned, and he's averaging pretty respectable 0.90 fantasy points per minute. So it's not the 1 fantasy point per minute that we hope for, but you can't be too mad at that one. And let's talk one last guy here from this game. We'll talk Alfred Payton, former Orlando Magic point guard. So again, you talk about playing with some motivation, a chip on your shoulder. I'm sure Mr. Payton has something to prove in this one. He's projected for just 22 points. Pretty low total. Let's take a look and see where they like him today on Roto Grinders. They got him at 22.6. So that would put him as a slight over what he's projected on PrizePicks. His last few games, not so sexy. 22.3 against Boston. So that would be enough to put him over today's projection. Previous games, though, 9.6, 18.2. Then you got big ones here, 31.2, 24.1, 24.7, 38.4. So I mean, the guy can get it done, right? I mean, his last couple games, he's played some down minutes, 23 minutes, 20 minutes. But back here where he's playing 32-30, 32-30, 42, he's getting there. So let's see what he's projected to play today as far as minutes go. They got him playing 26 minutes here. He is a pass-first point guard, a distributor. In other words, distributors against the Magic. Well, the Magic don't rank very well against them. They rank 21st against distributor point guards. This is a back-to-back game for Payton, 3 games and 4 nights. And he's putting up 0.85 fantasy points per minute. So there you have it for Alfred Payton. Let's move along here. We got to talk D'Angelo Russell. At 42, It just hits different, guys. I mean, earlier in the season, this guy was like 36. Now he's all the way up to 42. Oh, let's take a look. Let's just take a look and see why this man is projected so high. I believe he's a shooting guard over on FanDuel. By the way, we use FanDuel projections because they are just like PrizePicks, so that helps us out when trying to make these videos. They like him for 40 fantasy points today on Roto Grinders. So that would be an under for D'Angelo Russell. Looking at his last few games here, 41.6, 39.5, 33.6, 34.1. Huge game, 56.1, 39.3. So as you can see, guys, in his game logs, I mean, he's only went over this projection of 42 one time. One time all season. One time all season. Forget the last few games. One time all season has he went over 42. This jumps out at me as a great place to take the under on Russell, but let's dig in a little further. 34 minutes. He's a combo guard. Combo guards against Atlanta. Not a very tough matchup against the Hawks. And then he's averaging 1.09 fantasy points per minute. Of course, we mentioned Minnesota will be without Karl Anthony Towns today. He's not expected to play. So let's look at the game total here. Atlanta, 117.5. Minnesota, 110. This does have some blowout potential here, guys. I especially like the under on D'Angelo Russell for that reason. If this game gets out of hand, Russell ain't playing deep into the fourth quarter. So there you have it on Russell. Under on Russell is how I'm feeling. We've talked Trae Young a lot. We've talked too much maybe about Trae Young. Let's talk about somebody else on the Hawks that we don't talk about a whole lot, and that's John Collins. 33 is his projection today. Let's take a look here on Mr. Collins and see where they like him. He's projected at 30.5 points, 30.57 over on Roto Grinders. Let's take a look at his game logs. Ooh, they are not looking good here. His last few games, 23.2, 24.8, 20.9, and a 27. I think he shoots back up to 38.7, 34. So, guys, he hasn't went over that projection of 33 today very often this season, especially in recent memory. Against Minnesota, yeah, this is his first time facing the T-Wolves. We don't have any kind of previous game logs for him, but let's look across the board here. They've got him 31 minutes is his projected total. He's a versatile big. Versatile bigs against Minnesota. Well, Minnesota's kind of trash against versatile bigs. They rank 28th against versatile bigs like John Collins, and he's averaging 1.06 fantasy points per minute. So there you have it on Collins. Maybe he goes over, but without Karl Anthony Towns in the lineup, maybe he eats, or maybe Clint Capella eats here. Softer matchup without Cat in the middle holding things down. But let's move ahead here to the next game. A lot of you guys mentioned Jeremy Grant in the chat this morning. By the way, the chat I'm referring to is the Discord channel, which is completely free for you to join the Out of Bounds Discord. The link will be in the description of this video. So if you're interested in joining the best PrizePicks Discord in all the world, well, it's free to do, and you should definitely get in there. Jeremy Grant projected for 36. That kind of seems low, especially with the way that Jeremy Grant's been playing. The guy is having a terrific season. Low key, I don't know if he's getting enough shine for the kind of year that he's actually putting up, but we're going to give him some shine right now. He's projected for 39 points. Very healthy over there for Jeremy Grant. Let's take a look at his recent games. Whoo! Well, that one stands out. 61.8 points in his last one. A little bit of a downer here, 34.3, but that 34.3 is pretty close to today's projection of 36. When you go back to the games before that, 43, 47, 44, 43. This dude has been on fire. There's only been one game in his recent games here, last six games, only one game where he hasn't went over his projection of today's 36 points. And even in that game, he came mighty close to doing that. He's facing the Miami Heat today. We do have a previous game log against the Heat. It was the last game he played, and guys, he put up 61.8 points in that game. Does he put up 60-plus fantasy points again today? I don't think so. I highly doubt it. But let's look at his minutes here. 35 minutes. He's a versatile forward, and as we talked about, Miami doesn't do good against versatile forwards, ranking 28th against versatile forwards. And then his fantasy points per minute is 1.13, so very healthy fantasy points per minute. Finally, let's look at the game totals and the spread here. Miami 112.25 is the favorite. Detroit 106.25. So there is a 6-point spread on the board. That gives me a little cause for concern here. But Jeremy Grant, he's been playing healthy minutes all season long. 35, 35, 36, 42, 35, 34, 34, 37, 30. You see how he's doing, guys. You see how he's doing. He's going to play at least 35 minutes here, according to what we've seen in his game log all season long. So even if there is a chance of a blowout, this guy's going to get some serious run. I like Jeremy Grant over, and I think you should too. Let's move on to the other side of this ball here. Talking to the Miami Heat. Bam Adebayo, center for the Miami Heat, projected for 44 today. As we mentioned, no Jimmy Butler, so somebody's going to have to step up for the Miami Heat. Let's talk Bam. I don't see him on here. Isn't he a center? He is a center. Maybe he's at power forward. There he is. He's at power forward. 44.96. Let's round it up to 45. Bam, his last game, 52.4 against Detroit. Well, as I mentioned before, this is a rematch between Miami and Detroit. So 52.4 in his last game against them looks very appealing. He missed the previous two games, but if you go back a few more games here, 33.2, 43.6, you got a 34, 44, 53. So you kind of get an idea. There's 30, 40, 50 point potential here for Bam. But that 52 against the Pistons in the last game looks very good. His minutes today, 34. He's a versatile big. Versatile bigs against Detroit do well. They rank just 20th in the league against versatile bigs. This is 2 games and 3 nights for Bam, and 1.29 is his fantasy point per minute average. So love the matchup for Bam here. They like him to go for 45 on Roto Grinders, which would be just enough to get over the 44. So I like the over on Bam. Anyone else we want to talk about here? Let's talk about Tyler Harrow. He missed the last game. He was projected to play and then was a scratch. Let's see if he is on track to play today. He's projected for 30, which kind of seems low for Tyler, especially without Jimmy Butler in the lineup. Harrow typically steps up, soaks up a lot of those shot attempts and a lot of the usage. He is questionable today, but they like him to go over. 31.76 is his projection on Roto Grinders, so that would be almost a 2-point over. So I like that for Harrow. His last game, he did not play against Detroit in the first meeting, but he put up 28.7 in his last one, playing 31 minutes, almost 32 minutes. A couple games prior to that, he played 39 minutes, put up 45, 37 minutes, and put up 41. So if he puts up, 35 plus minutes, guys, this guy should eat. He should eat in this situation. He's projected to play 34, so that's a pretty healthy total. If we move across the board, he's a combo guard. Combo guards against Detroit have done well. Detroit ranks just 22 in the league against combo guards, so I don't mind the matchup here at all for Tyler Harrow. And then 0.89 is his fantasy point per minute average. That should go up. Once again, without Jimmy Butler in the lineup, I expect Harrow to take on a lot more of the scoring load, the ball handling, you name it. So that 30 on Tyler Harrow looks way too low in my opinion. And I think that if he plays the 34, 35 minutes or more, he's definitely going to go over that 30. Let's move ahead here. We got another game to talk about, the San Antonio Spurs versus the Portland Trail Blazers. That one tips off at 3:10 p.m. We got to talk DeMar DeRozan, one of my favorite guys this season because DeMar has been crushing more often than not. Let's see where they got him tonight. DeMar is projected for 40.29 against the Blazers. Let's open up the game logs and see why I like DeMar DeRozan so much. Well, his last game, he put up 44.4 against Houston. A little bit of a down game here in this one against Houston, 35.7. He missed 2 games here, but then you go back 50.5, 44.8, 22, 35, 47, 42. So you could see, guys, that he definitely can get over 40 points in any given matchup here. I don't see a previous game log versus Portland worth talking about. So let's look at his minutes today. 35 projected minutes. He's a scoring wing. Scoring wings against Portland. This is on paper not a very good matchup for DeRozan, but we're talking on paper. We're talking about one of the better pure scorers in DeRozan in the league. And I'm not really concerned about the matchup. Who's going to stop this guy? His fantasy points per minute, 1.19, so almost 1.2 fantasy points per minute. Very, very healthy there. And then we got to look at the game totals and the spread here. San Antonio is a slight favorite on the road, 112.75 points, where Portland, they're expected to score 111.25 points. So just a 1.5 point spread. This game should remain competitive. This game should be fairly high scoring. This game should be one of those up and down, run and gun type of games. Little cause for concern that Portland is without Nurkic and without CJ McCollum. Will they have enough with the other guys that are still on the team and healthy, Dame Lillard and so on, to stay in this game with San Antonio? I don't know. I mean, so far it looks good as far as the spread, so I wouldn't be too concerned about the blowout. Let's just rely on what Vegas thinks. The other side of the ball, Dame Lillard. You take CJ McCollum out of the lineup, and Dame Lillard's projections shoot through the roof. This guy has been around the 45, 46 point projection every night on PrizePicks. Well, today, guys, he has went to the moon. 53 is his projection. Big, big number here for Dame. I don't know if I'm buying it. Granted, he should get a lot more of the usage, the shots, of everything, really. But, man, 53.52. Let's just take a look. Let's just take a look here. 53.52 on Roto Grinder. So they're pretty much on the money and in agreement with PrizePicks. His recent games have been up or down. They've been a yo-yo of sorts. 54.9. All right. And then 33.2, way down. 69.7, way up. 33, 33, 65. So, I mean, you get an idea of kind of the season. It's been up and down for Mr. Dame Lillard. Of course, this was when CJ McCollum was healthy. He's not going to be healthy. He's not going to be available in this one. Neither is Nurkic. So this should be Dame time, right? This should be the kind of game where Dame gets those 20-plus field goal attempts and has the green light to just fire away here. But I don't know, guys. I mean, they got him projected to play 40 minutes. That seems incredibly high. How many times has Lillard actually hit 40 minutes this season? Well, 1, 2, 3. Okay, in his last 3 games, there's one way down here. His last 3 games, or last 4 games, I should say, he's went 40 minutes or more. So maybe the 40 minutes isn't totally absurd and ridiculous like I was thinking. But he's a combo guard. Combo guards against San Antonio. San Antonio is 8th in the league against combo guards. This is 2 games and 3 nights for Mr. Lillard. And he's putting up a very respectable 1.22 fantasy points per minute. So you guys have to make the call here. Is Damian Lillard going to get enough of a bump in usage and shots and everything else to go over this 53? I mean, it's a big number, man. That's a big number for Damian Lillard based on his game logs and the inconsistencies we've seen. But that was with CJ McCollum in the lineup. Maybe now he doesn't have to fight for as many shots and as much usage, and he can handle the ball more, and maybe he goes over. We know he's got the talent to do it. He's just shown that he's inconsistent this season. On the other side of the ball here, let's talk Kelton Johnson. He's a popular name that continues to come up in the Discord, so let's mention him real quick. Kelton Johnson projected for 28 in today's game against Portland. Well, they like the over on Kelton Johnson quite a bit on Roto Grinders. They got him at 31.15. Let's look at the game logs. Recently, he's played pretty well. There's a 28.4, and then there's a huge 44.2, a 33.9, dropping down to 22.9 here, and then a 36.8. So that's just his last few games. That 28 is well within reach. He's went over 28 in his last 3, if you just want to narrow it down to his last 3. If you want to go back to his last 5 games, he's went over 28 in 4 of 5. So the chances of him going over 28 seem to be pretty good here. He's playing 30-plus minutes a night, so you love to see that. As we mentioned, no previous game log against Portland. Let's go across the board here. He's projected to play 32 minutes today. He's a scoring wing, and scoring wings against Portland, on paper, this is not the easiest matchup, but, you know, Portland doesn't really scare me as far as being a defensive team. And like I mentioned, they've got so many injuries out there right now. I expect this to be a softer matchup than what it might look like on paper. And then he puts up 0.98 fantasy points per minute, so really, really close to that total of 1 per game, or 1 per minute, I should say, 1 fantasy point per minute. So I like the over on Kelton Johnson if I'm leaning one way or the other. Now, we talked about, obviously, Dame Lillard being the guy, but somebody's going to have to step up. Somebody's going to have to take over and fill the void left behind by CJ McCollum. And maybe that guy's Carmelo Anthony. But then again, maybe it's Gary Trent Jr., who we've seen some big games from in the past. So let's look at Gary Trent Jr. real quick. He's projected for 23, which seems kind of modest. We've seen Gary Trent have some incredible upside in his young career here. They got him at 24.35 is his projection on Roto Grinders. Let's open up his game logs recently. You got to keep in mind this is with CJ McCollum healthy. This minute total and his shots and everything will go up without McCollum. 22.1, then a big stinker here, 8.5, 29.2, 14.12. Okay, so pretty bad. It looks pretty bad, right? But as I mentioned, this guy's going to be playing more minutes. And he should be asked to score a lot more than he has in recent memory, being that CJ McCollum's no longer in the lineup. So let's move across the board here on Gary Trent and see where they like him. Well, he's projected to play 34 minutes today. Love to see that. He is a shooting wing. Shooting wing, meaning he's going to put up shots. And then San Antonio, they rank 22nd against shooting wings. And then Trent, we can't really look at his fantasy points per minute of 0.66. This is just not fair. He's not really a starter most games. So I do like the over on Gary Trent. I think this is a good situation where the game should stay close. It's got a pretty high total. He will be asked to take on a bigger role and score the ball more. He's not going to put up CJ McCollum type numbers, but I don't think 23 is quite enough for Trent. Mr. Devin Booker. We have not talked about Book in a very, very long time. I feel like we haven't talked about the Phoenix Suns in a very long time. Where have they been, guys? They're facing off against the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies at 5:10 p.m. Book is projected for 35 points. Pretty reasonable, I would say. They've got him at 36.89. Let's round that up to 37 for Devin Booker. Looking at his recent game logs, well, he's got some good ones in there. 41.6, 45.1. You got 31.5, 33.2, another one at 41. So if you look at just his last 5 games, he's went over 40 points 3 times. He failed to hit that 35 or more mark in just 2 of his last 5 games. Against Memphis, no previous game logs, so this will be his first time, or at least first time in recent memory that he's facing Memphis. He's projected to play 35 minutes. He is a scoring wing, as we all know. Devin Booker can score the ball. In Memphis against scoring wings, they rank just 21st, so looks like an easy matchup for Booker. And then finally here, 0.95 fantasy points per minute, falling just shy of that golden standard of 1.0 fantasy points per minute. If we look at the totals in the spread here for this game, Phoenix, they're projected to be 113 points, so a 3-point favorite versus Memphis. Memphis 110, so this game looks like it's going to stay close. I don't expect a blowout of any kind here. I wouldn't be too worried about that. Otherwise, let's move ahead here and talk Ja Morant, a guy that we've talked very little about. He's finally back. He looks healthy. He's looking good. 37 is his projection. That seems kind of low for a guy of Ja's talent and capability. But let's see how they like him on Roto Grinders. 32 minutes, and they project him to score 37.69 fantasy points. Let's open up the logs real quick. Love that haircut for Ja. He's got that Adam Morrison vibe going with the shaggy cut there. In his last game here, he played 30 minutes and scored 26 fantasy points. So, yeah, not really loving that. Maybe he's still knocking off some rust. Going all the way back here, he was balling out 67, 43, but I don't know that he's quite there yet. So this could be one of those types of picks where it's a little risky, where you're kind of just rolling the dice and hoping for something good here. 32 minutes is his projection. As we mentioned before, he's a combo guard. Combo guards against Phoenix have struggled. They rank 9th against combo guards, but he is putting up 1.31 fantasy points per minute. Of course, that's a very small sample size. He's only played a handful of games so far this season. So there you have it for Ja. Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to do it for today's video. I know there's more games coming up ahead later on in the night, but I wanted to make this video for the early games. Maybe I'll make a second video and we'll talk about some of the other guys as we get later on into the evening. But for now, guys, chew on this. Hopefully this helps you guys out when making some of these early picks for this special NBA slate for MLK Day. So if you guys have any comments or anything, leave them down below. I love to chat it up with you guys. Who's your favorite pick on the board today from the guys that we discussed in today's video? Let me know if you're liking the over, the under on them. And for now, that's going to do it for me. Good luck this afternoon, and keep an eye out. I may put out another video to cover the rest of the games that aren't up on PrizePicks yet. But for now, this is CJ, out of bounds. You guys, be good. Peace out.